In this video, I will look at using 2D trig to solve this triangle question. And so the first thing that I do is I look for the missing angles, but in this case I can't work them out because the sides are all different. Second step is I try and look for a common line, but there isn't necessarily a common line between two shapes. And so I dive straight into either if it's a 90-degree triangle using SOH CAH TOA, or if it's not 90-degree using cos rule or sine rule. Because they wanted cos, I chose to use the cos rule, and the way that I do it is if I've got all three sides, then I put cos by itself, and for the references of this video I'm going to call these the next door neighbors to theta. And so in brackets it will be the next door neighbor squared plus the other next door neighbor squared minus the one opposite squared over 2 times the next door neighbors, 2x and 3. That left me with 3x squared plus 9 over 12x, which is kind of getting close. And if I'm ever stuffed in maths, I can always just factorize. So I took it a common factor of 3 and I cancelled that on the top and the bottom, and I was left with 4x at the bottom, which is perfect. That's what I wanted. And so I've got an expression for what cos theta is. Then they tell me that x equals 2.4, and so I can basically go through the entire picture itself, and I could change this to 2.4 and this would be double that, so 4.8. I could go back into what I've worked out here and sub in 2.4 for the x's, and that's just me getting a little bit carried away. And so getting back to the question of calculate theta, what I would do is I would put 2.4 back in the x and 2.4 in the x down here. And if I ever need angles in trig, so when I punched that in my calculator, I got 73 over 80. And if I ever need angles in trig, I shift. So shift cos of 73 over 80, and it spits out, rounded off, 24.15. Then they asked me for the area, which is perfect because to work out an area of a non-90-degree triangle, it must be side included angle side. And so I'm going to work with side included angle side. And now I've got all the actual x's and the actual angles. So it should just be routine half the one side times the other side, which is 4.8 or 2 times 2.4 times sine of the angle I've just worked out between them. And that spits out my answer of 2,95 rounded off. And because I don't know if it's centimeters or meters or whatever, I say units squared. Lastly, a bit of a left field question. That's why I want to spend a bit more time on this. Calculate the values of x for which this triangle exists. And where it would exist is right back to the beginning. Cos exists if it's bigger than, well, typically between -1 and 1. So that's normally where a cos or sine exists. But in this case, it's a triangle, and it's not in the second, third, fourth quadrants of the Cartesian plane. It's just a triangle, and so I'm only going to be looking where it's positive in a sense, and so that's between 0 and 1. So cos will exist where it's between 0 and 1. And so for starters, where does x exist? You first need to zoom out and look at the actual cos or sine. And so what is cos? Right from the beginning, it's that. If I were to just focus on this side, I would have taken 4 up, 4x, and that will just still become 0. I would take 3 across, and that will be -3. And when I try square root -3, it won't actually work out. And so I'm going to rather just focus on this side. And so if I take the 4x times 1, I've got 4x on this side. I'm going to bring it across because whenever there's an inequality with quadratics, the best way to do it, I find, is to factorize and draw a rough picture of a parabola. So that's just a hint into inequality section. So I'm not going to, like some people do, just say x minus 3 is less than 0, x minus 1 is less than 0. I'm going to think of it like a parabola. The answer that comes out of here is 3. the answer comes out of this bracket is 1. And I think of this as a happy parabola. So roughly speaking, it's like that. And the question is, where's the stuff less than 0? In other words, where's it below the line? So it's from 1 until 3. And that's how you get your final answer for that. I hope that you found this question helpful. If you did, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this with your friends. Thanks.